Chapter 5 Perennial Chives. Auntie was waiting for Zoe in the driveway and handed her a little basket when she got off the bus. I thought we could do some gathering for our snack. They walked arm in arm toward the far side of the garden. The spring birds had returned to nest in the meadow, and their wings flashed in the bright afternoon sun. They stopped at a row where round pinkish lavender flowers bloomed in abundance. The flowers made Zoe think of upside-down fairy petticoats. The plants had strange tubular leaves, like skinny green soda straws. "Here we are," said Auntie. "Snack time." Zoe looked around. "Snack? I don't see anything for a snack." Auntie leaned over the flowers, plucked a few of the tubular leaves, and handed them to Zoe. "Taste those," she said. Zoe bit down and her eyes widened in surprise. The flavor of the pungent leaf filled her mouth. "These are yummy, like onions, but nicer." "What are they?" "These are chives," said Auntie, picking more leaves. "They are a member of the same family as onions. I thought we could pick some and make scrambled eggs with chives for our snack." Zoe wasn't sure what to think about eggs for a snack, but she leaned over to help pick. Remembering what she learned about life cycles from last week, she asked, "Are chives annuals like sunflowers?" Auntie was pleased. "What a good memory, Zoe! But chives are different. They are an example of the second life cycle called perennials. Unlike annuals, the roots of perennials survive through the winter, and the plant regrows from those roots every spring. They don't have to be replanted from seed like annuals." Zoe was confused. "They grow back every year?" "They grow back and make seeds every year, which makes them such a joy. Once they're established, they basically take care of themselves. There are a few perennial foods, like rhubarb and asparagus, but most of the perennials you find in the garden are flowers." Zoe retrieved her plant journal and pencil from her backpack and wrote, "Plant Life Cycle 2, Perennials. Roots survive winter. Plant grows back to make seed every year." Under her notes, Zoe sketched the puffy shape of the chive blossoms and added the tubular leaves. She looked up just in time to see Auntie sink the sharp tips of a digging fork into the soil next to a large chive plant. Auntie jumped on the fork to drive it as deep as it would go and pulled back on the handle to pop the entire plant out of the ground. Zoe gasped. Auntie grabbed the root ball and pulled it out of the hole and onto the grass. "I want to show you a neat trick about perennials. They do grow seeds every year, which is one way to make more plants, but there's a faster way." She fished around in the tool bucket until she found a muddy old bread knife. She used the knife to cut down the middle of the plant, making two identical halves with roots, leaves, and flowers. Zoe was horrified. "Auntie, what are you doing to that poor plant?" "I'm dividing it into more chive plants. It's one of the gifts of perennials. Their roots are so hardy and grow so thick that dividing them from time to time is good for the plant. It gives the roots more room to expand again." Zoe shook her head. "I can't believe you cut right through the dirt." "I know," she said. "It's really fun. Do you want to try?" Zoe was nervous about using the big knife, but Auntie showed her how to safely cut the halves in half and half and half again. After planting one chunk back into the original hole, they planted the similar pieces into little spots. When they finished, she looked at the tray of drooping plants and instantly felt remorse for cutting them up so brutally. "They look so sad. I feel bad I hurt them." They'll be all right. They just need a little love, reassured Auntie. I have an idea. Why don't you take them home? Find them a nice sunny spot in your backyard, water them twice a day, and I guarantee they'll bounce back. Zoe brightened. I can take them home? Of course. I'm happy to share these with you, she said. Perennials are better off when you divide them and share them with other gardeners. Embarrassed, Zoe's words tumbled out. I'm not a gardener, Auntie. Mom asked the landlord if I could plant a garden, but he won't give a kid permission to dig up the front yard, and the backyard is taken up by a stupid old patio. I can't be a real gardener. Nonsense, said Auntie. You don't need permission to be a gardener. A commitment to caring for plants is all you need, and no one is more committed than you. You're already a good gardener. I am? She wasn't used to being good at anything. First a scientist, now a gardener? You are, said Auntie, and since these chives already have their own little garden inside their pots, they can live just fine on your patio without digging anything up. Plants in pots are a great way to garden when you don't have a piece of ground to work with. I bet your mom will enjoy how much they'll dress up the patio, but we will check with her just to be sure. Zoe smiled and reached out to touch one of the new plants. I think Mom will love them. She likes plants too, and I know she wishes she could have a garden at home. Auntie gathered the tools together. It might be fun for the two of you to discover what else you can grow in containers. They went to the barn and filled the blue watering can to give her new chive plants a drink. They left the plants draining in the yard and carried the basket of leaves into the kitchen to make scrambled eggs with chives. Zoe was surprised at the delicious flavor of the chives and how much she enjoyed having eggs for a snack. After eating, Auntie said, "What do you think about growing some perennials from seed to keep your chives company?" Zoe's eyes lit up and she nodded. I have to warn you, Auntie said, I love them all, but perennials are some of the laziest, slowing growing plants I've ever met. Growing perennials from seed takes patience. I have nothing better to do this summer, said Zoe. I guess I'm a gardener, so I accept your challenge. She cleared away the dishes while Auntie sorted through her shelf in search of perennial flower seeds. She spread a collection of small jars across the table. Zoe picked one up and read the label. Columbine, 2023, Pembroke Farm. Hey, this jar is labeled, just like our drawings. It has a name, a date, and where it grew. You see how important those details become when you're doing science, said Auntie. I thought science only happened at school. Science happens anytime you seek to understand things about the natural world. Right now, we're studying botany, the science of plants. That makes you a botanist. Zoe smiled and wiggled in her chair. I like being a botanist. Auntie went to the other room for a moment and returned with a large, colorful book. It's hard to imagine what a perennial flower will look like without a good reference book, she said, laying the book on the table. This will help you choose. While Zoe browsed through the book, matching seed labels with pictures, Auntie filled some small planting trays with moist potting soil and brought them to the table. She poured Zoe and herself a fragrant cup of chocolate mint tea and shared stories of how each flower came to be in her collection. The stories helped Zoe choose columbine, delphinium, anise hyssop, and catnip. They planted the tiny seeds into the trays and poked labeled popsicle sticks into the soil. When she heard her mom's car in the driveway, Zoe ran out to meet her. Her arms flew about excitedly while she talked to her mom and finally pointed to the wilting plants near the garden. Her mom smiled and nodded her head, then turned and gave a little wave to Auntie, who had been watching out the window. Zoe and her mom loaded the chive plants into the trunk. When they came back to the kitchen for the boxes of planted flower seed, they were both smiling. "Mom said I can keep them," said Zoe. "I guess I'm a real gardener now."